We return now to our top story. At least one person is dead, two more injured after a man opened fire on an ICE field office in Dallas. All three people shot were detainees. Authorities say the gunman fired indiscriminately. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez sat down with acting ICE director Todd Lyons, who calls it a targeted attack.
You don't shoot out the windows. You just don't shoot at the random vehicles. You don't pick that location, a specific spot in Dallas, just to make a statement. You know, when you have anti-ICE rhetoric written on the bullets, you know who they're targeting. And then, you know, I wouldn't even say it's targeting against ICE, it's targeting against law enforcement.
And Camilo joins us here now. Camilo, very good to have you here on set, especially on a day like this. Now, you also spoke with the acting director Lyons there about security measures for ICE agents and detainees, especially in the wake of this shooting. Yeah. What did he say about that?
Well, acting director Lyons told us, Nancy, that this tragic shooting is a game changer, potentially, that will allow the agency and really force the agency, rather, to re-examine and reevaluate its security protocols, including at detention facilities across the country. Let's take a listen to some of that interview. Sir, are you implementing and enforcing new measures and precautions, perhaps, to protect detainees and employees alike in light of this shooting?
You know, we've always been operating lately with the increased rhetoric and the assault on ICE officers, a higher threat posture, if you will. But definitely we'll go ahead and reevaluate how we're doing operations. You know, the one thing that I'm dedicated to, and I always get asked, what's the one thing that keeps me up at night, is the safety of the men and women of ICE, to include the people that visit our facilities as well as our detainees. And that has to be my number one concern right now, is making sure that men and women can go out there, do their mission, but they go home safe to their families. And that we have to make sure we ensure not only the people in our custody, people visiting our facilities, but our men and women in law enforcement, our federal partners, are being taken care of. We're going to look at all of our security posture more thoroughly now.
But Nancy, the director did tell me that this tragic incident will not deter the Trump administration from continuing its aggressive mass deportation operation. As you know, the president has promised to oversee the largest deportation campaign in American history.
And Camilo, you also asked the acting director about lowering the temperature. We've really seen the rhetoric ramp up quite a bit recently. What did he say to you about that?
Well, just for context, Nancy, just in the past 2 weeks, we have seen attacks against ICE agents. We have seen confrontations, including violent confrontations in Chicago, here in New York City. We've seen protesters try to block the entry of vehicles into ICE facilities. We've seen New York City lawmakers be arrested here after blocking the entry into 26 Federal Plaza, another ICE facility. And I pressed them on that environment and what can be done to reduce those tensions. Let's take a listen. How do you think these tensions can be reduced? Because they appear to be very, very high now.
You know, I would love to work with other elected officials and local leaders on the ground. I think there's just misinformation of what the true ICE mission is. You know, when you do have social media posts, whether it be from a group or an elected official saying what ICE is doing is wrong, is illegal, and to push back and resist ICE, that's just not right. It's a law enforcement mission. That's what the men and women are doing. And again, we talked earlier, a lot of that rhetoric is just so heightened and volatile right now. That's not only putting the detainee or the arrestee in harm's way, public in harm's way, but the men and women of ICE and law enforcement in general in harm's way. We definitely need open dialogue, common sense approach to this, communication at all levels, but really need to dial it back. I mean, to put out a tweet or actively say, you should resist ICE or you should push back against ICE, that's just wrong. That leads to more violence, more tensions, and that's what needs to stop.
And Nancy, acting director Lyons obviously believes that the rhetoric by some politicians against ICE activity across the country is playing a role in this heightened and tense environment. But I do have to underscore that from advocates' perspective, ICE's aggressive tactics are also contributing to this really tense situation that we're seeing across the country now.
Excellent reporting, as always, Camilo Montoya-Galvez. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thanks, Nancy.